Okay. Twitch output should be on. There we go. Here we go. Is everyone's YouTube working? Let's see it. Adam's in the chat. Maha's in the chat. We're going. Starting soon, everybody. Okay, let me switch over. Hello. Wow, the chat is really going off. You can all hear me. Let's make sure. Tell me sound is okay. And I need to go live on Instagram. Let's go, baby. So we're live on Instagram, we're live on Twitch, we're live on YouTube, we're live on all the things that I possibly could go live on. It's all up, it's all happening. Welcome to my club sesh. Hi, Patty Puffer. I see you on Twitch. I hope you're having a beautiful day too. It was actually really nice out. Okay, great. Thanks, Maha. Thank you. Okay, Maha was just texting me. And she said that that one, people think I'm a bitch, which I think that's a good thing. And two, that they're intimidated by me. And I also think that's a good thing. You should be a little scared of me. I like that. Hector, better check yourself. I am checking. Well, sometimes like everything is totally fine on my end. Like, okay, Rodecaster Pro is working. I see all of the sound. And then it's just not working. Like when Laganja was here, I was like, what the fuck is going on? But you know, technology. Have you seen that? That meme or whatever the fuck it is? Maybe it's a real technology. I know it is facts, right, Maha? You know, I kind of feel like there's this expectation that women, like, we're supposed to be nice. Does the pedal work? I didn't hook up the pedal today. I don't do the pedal when I do the club sesh, but it didn't work last time, so I'm gonna have to have Al come by. Oh fuck! What did I just do? Oops, that was weird. Sorry, I was gonna have Al come by and make sure everything's working before next Saturday. But I just want to say I do receive all of your Venmos and Cash Apps, so thank you so much. It says now live on your channel. That's so cool. So if you want to send a super chat, I am demonetized on YouTube, so you can't, like, traditional ways of sending me a super chat don't work. So you have to send it to me via Venmo or through Cash App, and that's the best way to send me a super chat. I'm going to put that like that so you can see it. That's my cookbook. If you don't have a copy of my cookbook yet, it's really awesome. I put a lot of work into it, a lot of research into it, a lot of lab testing, so many lab tests. Did anyone see my milk chocolate peanut butter caramel bars? They turned out great. I'm sorry, Harry. Is that in the Discord or in the Patreon? I've been a little overwhelmed with social media. Lots going on. Let me look at is it in the recipes? Oh yeah, let's pull this up. Let me see if I can get it on let's look at it right now as a club. Where's my Discord? Let me pull up the Discord on here. Oh shit, I don't have it installed in my computer yet. New computer. Hopefully this doesn't crash the OBS. Are you gonna crash? I wonder if I can just go onto Discord on like a browser. But it's here. We did it. We downloaded the Discord. Let's open it. Come on, Discord, open up. Come on, little Discord. Come on, little Logie. Little Logie. Oh, fuck. Oh, no, Discord. What are you doing? Don't take over my screen. I just wanted to show people. Calm down, Discord. Calm down. Here, I'm going to log in. QR code it. How we doing? My mother-in-law loved the peppermint bark, by the way. She likes a high dose. Did she, I mean, like, I had like a quarter of that, and it was cool. Logged in. It was very potente, which is cool. Like, good. I'm glad that she enjoyed it. I felt a little, okay, go. I don't want to see any of this. Dang it. I want my edibles club. There we go. So I'm in the edibles club Discord. Let's go down to recipes. I'm going to go down to the watch scene. Sorry, it's on something else, but I'll put it onto the Discord for a second. All right, let's bring up these. And then I'm going to do this real quick. Hello, I don't want to dish. So this is our Discord. If you're not part of the Patreon, I highly recommend it. This is how you get access to our Discord. And we have a bunch of different channels here. It's part of the Patreon, the Edibles Club. You can click the link in the chat that's pinned to the top of the chat. And there's a link for my cookbook. There's a link for the club. And then how to send super chats. But this is from Bronco, who is... it's Harry Lee's. I'm so proud. You should be proud. It's hard to do chocolate. Let me look at your temper. Okay, let's see. Vanessa, I'm making 2 pounds of milk chocolate into infused peanut butter caramel chocolate bars. How much chocolate do I need to hold back for tempering the melted chocolate? For seeding, do you mean to seed? You do want to hold a good amount of seed chocolate back, just so the more seed chocolate, the more. That looks great. That's a nice temper. Let's look at it up close. See how there's no like white kind of clouding, or it's called bloom, and there's 2 different types of bloom that you can get with chocolate. You can get sugar bloom, and that happens when you put it in the fridge and it gets cold and like the sugar comes to the top, it separates. And then you can get a fat bloom, and that's when your temperature is off and the fat layer like floats to the top. If you ever a Snickers bar or chocolate bar, you put it in your car and then you let it set up again, like it melts in a hot car and then it sets up again, it turns all white. That's the fat blooming out of it. So what we're doing when we temper chocolate is we're creating an emulsion. And is it an emulsion? I guess it's not an emulsion because there's really no water. Well, I guess sugar has water in it, right? So there's water in sugar. I know that sounds totally nuts, but there is. And so you're creating this emulsion with that, with the sugar, with the cocoa solids, the cacao, and the cocoa butter. And so that's why the stirring, and we do this whole thing with tempering chocolate. But that looks really great. It should snap. Tempered chocolate should have a nice snap to it. I'll show you the peppermint bark now that it sits. Now that it's set for a while, let me show you how nice the snap is. Okay, I have to say, like, visually, I really love, I packaged them all up like this, but visually, I really love the green candy cane, but I do not, it's wintergreen. I didn't know. I should have tasted it. It's not my favorite on peppermint bark. Like, I love the look of it on the bark because the green gives you a nice contrast to the, let me go back to the main, back to the white and the red, but like flavor wise, wintergreen, yuck. That's my bark, right? Right? Nice. So there's a little bit of bloom, just a little bit. Let's show you. See like the little bit of white there? Not this white. This white right here. This stuff. That's bloom. It's probably from me touching it. I'm going to take a little bite. Not mad at it. I don't love the wintergreen, but I'll take it. Because I like the chocolate. It's set up so nicely. All right, let's dab. Oh, and I can show you. I set up the close-up cam. Look how organized I am. So this is my bark, right? You see? So this is chocolate bloom right here from like hot hands or something. But chocolate should be really shiny. There you go. My little bark. The biggest regret in thickness is the thickness of my bars. You talking about like the thickness of the chocolate? It's really hard. Oh, you like wintergreen? Okay, there you go. It's really hard to get a very delicate shell on a bar. Let me just tell you that. It's a real skill. And people kind of they can underestimate how difficult chocolate work is. It's not easy. It takes practice, and the more that you do it, the better you'll get. There's technique to getting that shell thin, right? So you put the chocolate in, and you use like those rubber shells, the rubber molds or silicone, whatever. You really want to get polycarbonate molds because they're more solid, so you can wrap it down. We can do a chocolate bar, but you can wrap it down on the table and it gets the bubbles out, right? It's hard to do that with the rubbery, like the more flexible ones, because they floop around. With a polycarbonate mold, you can really wrap it on the table, get the bubbles out. And then you can flip it before you want it to kind of sit for a second because you want it to have some sort of a shell, right? You don't want it so thin because then when you go to unmold it, it'll be difficult. But the longer you let it sit in there, the thicker that shell is going to be. So you want to flip it. And then I make a circular motion like this. I go like this. And it helps to kind of knock the chocolate out around the shell. Rectangle is hard. And some people tap along. You can tap along it. Again, if you have those soft molds, you can't tap them, right? If you have a hard polycarbonate mold, you take, I have that chocolate scraper, that black one that looks kind of like a drywall thing. It's for chocolate. JB Prince is an excellent resource for chocolate supplies. But you can tap it along the side gently and you'll get more of that chocolate out. And you're pouring the chocolate always out onto like a parchment or something, marble, ideally like a marble countertop, and you can just scrape it back up and use that chocolate again. But that'll give you a thinner shell. It just takes practice. It takes a lot of practice. Show the recipe. Like sculpting in a way. Not, I guess so. Not like you're not really cutting anything. You're just like molding. I don't know if there's the type of like maybe ceramics, like when you're pouring a ceramic mold and then you have to pour it out, right? You pour it into a cast and then you pour it out and then it's like what's left coating that cast. That's pretty much what you're doing with chocolate. You're doing it into this cast of a chocolate bar or whatever. And then you pipe in your filling and then you put a foot on it. So you close it off. Foot is the technical term for capping when we cap it. But yeah, I love making chocolate. It's one of my favorite things to do. I don't make the chocolate, but working with chocolate. Yum. I love this peppermint bark is good. I guess it's like a winter peppermint. So, I thought that reel would do better, but it's so funny. You never know what's going to perform. The Zaza poppers, man. Still can't beat that. Don't know what it was about that. Mac and cheese, Zaza poppers. Everybody lost their shit for that one. Guerra 53 or F350 says, perfect for the holidays. Love it. I did a whole, let me show you guys what I did. So I packaged these up. I want to take them to Cornerstone and to Be Real Studio. Isn't that so cute? That is so cute. And they are, it's like about 100 milligrams a square. So I have like these bigger, 100 milligram squares. And then I did some smaller ones, but maybe I gave those away. I think I gave those away. I saved the Big Daddy ones. Bryant bags, honestly, it really depends on if I get some super chats, because ordering food is super expensive. And I'm like trying to make this stream into like a viable revenue. Oh, let me look at these pet pics. Oh my God. Let's look at this pet pic right here. I guess I can pull this up on. Oh, wait. Oh, no. I guess the watch scene on Instagram isn't set up. Let me put the Sony in here. Sorry, I'm trying to fix something on my vertical right now. Oh, it's weird. I had fixed it. Didn't want to do it. Okay, so this is my Discord Instagram if you're here with me on Instagram. So FIFA19, look at that snail. That's so cute. I used to play with snails a lot as a kid. That is so cute. Oh, look at that little shrimp. It's a little shrimp. My snails had babies. Baby shrimp didn't want to be left out. Whoa, they had babies? I guess that's the baby, and the shrimp wanted to be in it. Cool. I love it. Look at Madame Dram. She says, wow, I'm going to heart that. We love this. The little babies. I'm very into the cat with the hard eyes. Let's check on that. Which movie? Has Been Hotel. The fuck is that? What's that? All right. What's it on? Let's see what's going on in Green Thumbs. You guys should see some of the stuff that people do in my club. FIFA 19, you're funny. Look at that. Woo! Look at these. I wish I had some plants like that. Look at that. Okay. Okay, trichomes. Okay, trichomes. Okay. See, like people always say look at the hairs for when to cut, but like those hairs are orange, but the trichomes don't quite look amber to me. Oh shit, I just got rid of the freaking Discord. I didn't mean to do that. Oh no. Why'd I do that? Get back here, Discord. Okay. Close. There we go. It's back. Is it back? Yeah, it's back. We're back. We're back. Don't eat snails. Hi, Vanessa. I'm not eating any snails. I'm not eating any snails. Thank you very much. More plants. We've got some curing happening on a keef box, just in case. We love. Wow. Oh, he keefed it. Trim day. I use a few screen printing screens with lower and lower micron counts to dry hash as I'm trimming. Oh, nice. So like basically as you're trimming, if anything falls off, you're collecting that hash. That's a good. I'm jealous of you all who can trim dry hash, etc. legally. Sorry. Wow, look at that, FIFA. Hey, way more dry sift than usual. Looks like you might get some pictures of hash squishing process tonight. Sweet. Let's see. That's pretty nice. No escargot. I do like escargot, but not right now. Petra, welcome to the party. Oh yeah, we have members all over the world, just so you know. Wave to say hi. We have members all over the world, and they're in Australia. We have members in Canada. We have members in Germany, all over the place. It's a pretty cool club, which I think it's awesome for that reason as well, because like you can be like, hey, I'm in Germany. Any members in Germany? We should have like a travel channel. So if people are traveling to a country and like they want to know like, hey, I'm going to Thailand, what are some great places to hit up? Let's add a travel channel. But tonight on the sesh, we're going to learn about mythology and cannabis in storytelling and mythology through history, through different countries, different religions. And we can maybe, kind of, we don't know what certain mystical, magical plants were in literature, or in mythology. But I think it's, in some cases it's safe to assume that it was cannabis. So that's what we're going to look into tonight. I hope that's interesting to everybody. I find it super interesting. I used to be obsessed with mythology. I used to sit, my parents were teachers. And so when I would get out of school, they would have stuff to do after school. And so we'd always kind of have to like sit around and find stuff to do. So I would either go to the concession and like try to get candy, either like trying to get a loonie from underneath the vending machine, or like I just was always trying to get candy, always. Or I was in the library and I love to like have like a stack of mythology books and just like read about mythology, because it was just so interesting to me. It's storytelling and mythology. It's just interesting. Oh, we have some super chats. I'm going to put them on the board. We love it. Thank you so much, Harry Lee. Boop. Okay, I'll take a boop for you. Let me put you on the board. We're going to boop for you, Harry Lee. And then also JJ sent me a bunch of hearts. So I love that. And a nice super chat. Thank you, JJ. You're up on the board too. We love it. Let me take a boop. I'll show you guys what I'm booping. I can show you here. So this is some Cali hash. It is their don't look at my cuticles, please. You can pay for my manicure. Sour strawberry rosin. Honestly, there's no reason I can't go get a manicure. I think I get like a little, I don't know if I'm like agoraphobic. If I can stay home, I just like to stay home. What's that? What is that? When you just like let me stay home all the time. Oh, look at who it is. It's my little munchkin dog. Bonbon officially has to get her. The burning bush was weed, Christian myth. Do you think the burning bush was weed? Do we think the burning bush? I guess that's Old Testament. I don't know if I believe in any of that book. We just kind of believe this stuff, right? Like, what are the historical kind of confirmations of like what the Bible? I don't want to get into that discussion. Like, is the Bible real? Let's not. Because people really live their life based on it, and I'm not. I already piss off enough people in my life. But we're gonna boop the house down. We're booping the house down. It is time to feed her, so I'm going to have to feed the dog after I take this boop. Not have to. I enjoy feeding my dog, and she has to take a little anti-inflammatory medication. Okay, let's boop this, you little babies. Boop this. Boop. Wait, someone said no, it was not. Junior J.R. Wade says no, it was not. It's a work of fiction, but I digress. Right? Who's to say? I know what you want. You don't boss me around. Don't boss me around. Don't. You're so cute. I have the cutest dog. She's the sweetest, cutest dog, but she has a bad bum knee. Her left knee is a bum knee, and we got to go. Soon as we're through the holidays, right, Bonbon? We're going to take her. She's going to get a x-ray. Let me take my boop. And then I got to feed her. She's going to get an x-ray done. We're going to see what is up with her knee. Like if her kneecap isn't deep enough, then they have to like chisel out a deeper groove for her kneecap to sit in. And then I think it's her kneecap or her luxating patellar to sit in place. Or it's because something's tight. And that's what I think I feel is like really tight. And I've been trying to do stretches and whatever. They don't work. None of it works. It's just, she just hurt herself and we need an orthopedic surgeon. Yeah. Because you like to run around. Don't huff and puff. I don't like proselytizing. Don't proselytize. In the chat. Is there anything worse? It feels like a curse when you proselytize Christianity to me. My parents are born again Christians. I've learned Jesus songs before I could read and write. True story. True story. Ah, true story. I don't need you to tell me about the Bible, 'cause it was shoved down my throat my whole fucking life. I have a Bible quote on my fucking foot. Don't tell me about the Bible. I'm going to feed my dog now. Thanks for the boop. Okay, Baba. Baba, you come here. Yeah, Baba. Yeah. Are you a good girl? Are you a good girl? Yeah. I've been so into singing. I've really been into singing lately. I love it. What's Natalie saying? Similar. Almost went into novitiate. What is novitiate? Let me tell you. So, let me tell you a little story. I'm sure maybe I already shared the story with you. But do you know Wild Wild Country? That documentary on the Rajneeshi, is it Rajneesh or Rajneeshi? Whatever that cult is. They're all cults to me. So I'm no judgment. I think the same of Christianity as I think of that. Although that is like whatever. Christianity has its little sex bullshit. Let's not get into that. But that after turned into a Christian youth group. Guess who went there for a summer camp, whatever? This kid. So please. Oh, a Catholic convent. Ugh, even worse. Even worse. You know, it's weird. Whatever. I'm very sensitive to proselytizing and being kind of like, this is what the Bible says. I'm just like, leave me alone. Hi, everyone. This is not the topic today, although we are learning about, we're going to look into mythology. And there are a lot of myths. All of them are cults, 100%, totally. I just think if you really look at like the root of conflict, it really comes down to religion a lot. And so much of it is just storytelling. And then when we look at mythology, you know, it's like these were the religions of that time. Like people really believed in Zeus and they believed in Thor and all these different gods, Isis, and you know, it's just, oh, fuck off. Bye-bye. Fuck you. Goodbye, psycho. Okay, Revelations. Fear mongering. That's all it is. Scared. People are so scared. We don't know. Nobody knows shit. Nobody knows nothing. That's the only thing to believe. We know nothing. Nothing is worth dying over because we don't know nothing. It's all stories that we say to make sense of life. But we don't know. Nobody knows. So just accept that. There's peace in that. Accepting that nobody knows. Okay? How's that? Anyway, we're going to learn about some stories and how cannabis could have been, maybe it was, part of mythology. Was a mythical plant, a mythical herb. You know, you have to think back to when people first were smoking and eating this plant. Yeah, the only thing I know is I know nothing. Exactly. When they were first eating this plant and how like, whoa, that must have been. Habit Burger or In-N-Out? I want to say In-N-Out, but she recently pissed me off. The daughter of the owner, whoever, the trust fund kid. And she's all, California is bad for business. It's like, bitch, you've been doing great business here for lots of years. And we helped your elite status because California is its own brand, you know? And I don't know, it just pissed me off. It just is like, get out of here. So maybe not In-N-Out, but I don't know enough about Habit Burger. They could be problematic too. I'm going to make my own burger. How about that? To predict the future argues that there is no free will. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? It's just silly. It's just all so silly. It's just and just shove it down people's throats. Like, just take a hint. Did you eat all your food? Do you want to say hi to everybody? Oh, no, you don't. You just want me to pet. She just wants me to pet her. She didn't want to say hi. She ran away when I went to get her. She's like, I don't want to be picked up right now. We respect that. We don't, you know, She has to give consent. Is it true that burned weed in the metal ball swinging in the church? They burn weed in the metal ball swinging in the church. I don't know about that. Hood hippies protect your throats with edibles. Hi, bye, my favorite Socrates quote. A wise man knows he knows not. Exactly. Well, that's who I'm interpreting, I'm saying that, Socrates. Just saying it how I know it. And you just gotta accept. At least I have. I accept, I accept I don't know. And that's okay. And I understand like the fear in that, in not having an answer for things. And I don't want to reduce religion down to, wanting to believe that there's more after. But it's kind of, isn't it okay if there's not? I guess I'm okay with, I'm trying to be okay with that there's just nothing. And we don't know, right? Who knows? Who the fuck knows? But I'm okay with nothing. And it being like before I was born. I know it's an old, people like to say that a lot. It's like, well, think about before you were born. Anyway, why are we talking about this? Because we're talking about mythology. There's a lot with mythology, right? You've got afterlife is definitely a theme. Can you see her throwing her head back? Bonbon. What you doing? Someone out there? Anyway, she's always watching. Do you have marigold stuff in San Diego? Where to buy? I'm working on it. I am working. I know we do respect Bonbon. Bonbon is that she does her job, okay? You come around my house, I'm gonna know because she's gonna tell me. And that's exactly, I'm sorry, Fly. I don't like to do that, but that's exactly why I got a dog. Probably my neighbor bringing in their trash bin. It's like they're just doing they're trying to do their chores. Leave them alone. I'm working. So OJ 67. I'm working. I'm not going to do it. I'm not a Gen 6767. I don't even know what that means. I'm working on getting manufacturing for the infused chocolates. I was making them in Salinas, and they have a wonderful facility there. It's just then when I do the math of me like going up there, staying there, all of that, it doesn't make sense. It's just like it's a lot of work too. And so then to like not basically be paying to make the batch. And then it's like people don't, it's just hard. It's really hard. So I need to do it where I live. But I'm trying. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, good. Thoughts on Puka Dog in Poipu? What's Puka Dog? I don't know it. Puka Dog. What is it? I've never had it. I don't go out to eat a lot on Kauai because I'm with my family, so we just cook. My uncle makes like he likes to do these wraps of like sauteed vegetables that he puts in a tortilla, usually like a veggie like a spinach tortilla, and then with like hummus, and then we take the chilies and roll it up. Sometimes with sprouts if he's growing sprouts. But we don't go out to eat that often. Hawaiian hot dog. I haven't tried it yet. You know what I tried while I was there was what's it called? Greek pasta. Have you ever had Greek pasta before? I've never had it before, but it's like spinach and like pesto and a little bit of tomato and some cheese like feta with spaghetti. It was really Joseph Campbell. Myths. Joseph, let's look it up. All right, yeah, let's dive into our topic today, which is myths. We're getting distracted. So I just kind of brought up, we'll go to our watch scene and let me change it from the Discord to the Shiba. So we could watch Weed a Kid. It's only 7 minutes, so I don't think we'll get in trouble. I love Krishna. He's at he just got a new job. Really excited. Just exciting for him. I'm glad that some of the really talented journalists from Pfizer, I didn't really work with them. I was never in the office. I was just like a contractor. The little weed lady in LA. Hi, little baby. Can you just hold your horses? I'm going to give her another treat because she needs one, and be right back. Okay, 1 second. Can you sit? Can you show me how you sit? All right, and then when she's bored with that, I'll like load up that little kit, that I got for her. I got her like this pad that you fill with treats, so she has to like look through it. Okay. Let's make this a little bigger, so like that. Oh, we got another super chat from Patty. Shredding a turkey while listening to the stream. Now it's time for me to smoke. Cheers. I'm going to put your name on the board, Patty. Okay. Oops. Why is this all? Okay, let me go to a video first. Let's see.
Starting to change.
Let's watch this. And change. I know it's all wonky. 1 second. Oops, not this. This. Give me the actual video. Thank you. Okay. Can you guys hear? What the fuck that is? Roadcaster. Okay, browser is on. Cool.
As weed becomes legal and the world how to fit it into mainstream life, its benefits are often split into 2 rigid categories: medical marijuana, which is rapidly gaining legitimacy, and recreational pot, which is seen as the key to its emergence as a multi-billion-dollar industry. But lost
This is 9 years ago, just so you guys know.
in this bifurcation of bud is a centuries-old mysterious tradition: getting high to get closer to a higher power.
Right.
For Americans, it seems easy to write that use off as an exotic curiosity, the practice of Hindu sadhus or dreadlocked Rastafarians. But that's starting to change, as some Christians, who make up 75% of the US population, are beginning to prove that cannabis and Christianity can coexist. I've come to Colorado.
Hey, look at that. They're saying, I don't really give a shit, but they're saying, but this isn't really on topic. We're not totally on topic right now, but we're going to keep watching this because it's interesting, okay?
Where weed is legal, to meet Deb Button, the founder of a stoner Bible study group, to find out if cannabis can save the soul.
Why entertain it?
Hi.
Oh, hey, you must
Deb?
be Krishna.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't give a shit. I don't want to watch that. Let's learn about
In
Shiva.
Hindu legends, Shiva isn't just a god who meditates in the mountains. He's tied to a powerful plant with the ability to change the way people see the world. His followers even claim that without it, he might not have survived.
I'm looking at mythology. We're not looking at religion today. Okay? I know that's the same one and the same, but I feel like there's a little bit like mythology is we've accepted that it's make believe. Religion is something like people still follow and kill people over. It's so stupid. That's so stupid to me. Anyway, so we're not looking at that. We're gonna look at I guess people believe in Shiva. Whatever. We're still learning this.
Saving the universe. This is the story of Shiva, the ancient god who used cannabis to save the world. And just for the YouTube police, this video is for educational purposes only and does not promote the sale or use of any substances. We're just looking.
Is that what I need to add to my videos? Do I need to start putting a disclaimer that like sorry, that my videos don't violate any YouTube community guidelines? There are still Hindus that believe in Shiva. Yes, of course. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All religion is mythology, isn't it? It's all stories. Stories we tell. We love stories. Okay, fine. We won't look at Shiva either. Let's look at what I really wanted to look at was in like oops. Bonbon. I gave you treats. We're not ready to do that. To do other things right now. Okay? Let me look something up. See, like when you look at cannabis and mythology, it really goes to religion. Now there was like we can get into soma and like the what some of the psychoactive plants were. I just want to like find a good source. Let me see. I also need some tea because my throat is. It's time for some throat coat. set up Bonbon's throat coat. Not throat coat. Throat coat. Don't be gross. I wanted to pull up. Let me see. 1 second. There was like a goddess I wanted to look into with you. Yeah. I know. We're going to set up your little thing. Don't you worry. I just want to copy this link and put it in here so we can all watch this instead of this. Okay. Okay, calm down.
Sesh, goddess of wisdom. This entity is classified as a neter per Kemetic belief systems, but later translated to a goddess at Greek or Greek Egyptian mythologies. She comes to us from the culture of North African, Kemetic, and later Egyptian civilizations. Seshet was seen as the goddess of wisdom, knowledge, and writing, and was considered to be the scribe of the gods. She is credited with the invention of both writing and of the alphabet. And she was known as the goddess who measured and recorded the world. As the Lady of Builders, she was the matron of architecture, astronomy, and mathematics, known as she who was foremost in the library.
Hey.
Seshet is usually depicted wearing a panther skin as a symbol of priestly office. She often carries a palm frond carved with notches to mark the passing of years. As goddess of writing, Seshet was the keeper of royal annals and genealogies, and she was shown in artwork recording the booty from kings after battle, perhaps as a reminder that a share was due to the gods.
Right.
Seshet was said to even descend into the underworld to record everything that happens in the realm of the dead.
Okay, isn't that
From
interesting?
her earliest mention in the second...
Isn't that interesting? That's similar to the myth of Persephone, right? 1 second. I'm going to go and make my tea. Okay. Keep learning.
Second dynasty, she was shown assisting kings to lay out the foundations for temples and
Hi,
align them
Cody.
with the stars and the planets. And in the divine realm, Seshet
We got another super chat from Cody, Club Sesh Gold. Thank you, Cody. Let me put you on the board. We got that color. Let's put you in yellow. Oops, shit. Okay. Cody? You're on the board. Thank you for the super chat.
was in charge of building and the construction of mansions of the other neters or gods.
Yeah.
She was sometimes assisted in these tasks by the gods of sight and hearing. Seshet also built mansions in the west for the fortunate dead. She was occasionally identified as an aspect of the goddess Nephthys. In the coffin text, Seshet is said to be angry at a child that she gives birth to, just as later traditions would identify Nephthys rejecting her son Anubis. And other coffin texts, Thoth and Seshet bring writing to a man in the realm of the dead. And these writings were spells that could help the dead person to vanquish terrors of the underworld and to become a more powerful spirit.
See, I was like, why are we talking about death? And look at what we stumbled upon. There's no escaping it. There's no escaping it. Okay? All right? We've all been afraid of it since the beginning of time. Okay? Here we are, back at the beginning. Got my tea now. Okay. Hi, Water Tiger. I see you on Twitch. I see you. If you join the club, get a mug. Get a mug. Send me a message. You have to be a paid member. Send me a message if you want a mug. I have some. I have some mugs. Join the club. That's how this stream is made possible. Otherwise, I have to go get a job. I don't want to go and have to do that. We're having so much fun.
She is also the sister of the lion-headed goddess Bast, and in later mythology she is said to be the scribe of Hatshepsut, the 18th dynasty female pharaoh. Her headdress consists of a 7-pointed star, or more aptly described, a 7-petaled flower, which is associated with...
Hey! What? What?
The cannabis plant.
Hey.
It is written that sesh it opens the door to heaven for you.
Sesh it? Sesh? Are we serious right now? Harry, I do too. I use this mug. I didn't think I was going to. I freaking love this mug. Every morning. I love it. I love it. Makes me happy. Thank you. Thanks, Water Tiger, for being in the club. I'm glad I have the Twitch going, too. If you guys didn't know, I'm on Twitch, the Edibles Club. I thought I had to be a member for a year. Just send me a message. If you really want a mug, I'll send you one. Okay? Until I run out. But then I can order some more. I can order some more mugs, okay? But yes, I have mugs. Let's get rid of them. Not get rid of them, but let's spread the love, spread the word. Tell your friends about the club. It's a cool place to be. Philagain, hi. I just want you guys to know the last kitchen sesh had a record number of concurrent viewers at 108 concurrent viewers. That is the most I've ever had. It might not seem like that many, but for me, that's a lot. And so I was really excited because the kitchen sesh is like really where I go balls to the wall. I don't know why we say that expression. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Is it like chuck balls to the wall? Or are we talking like balls? What are we talking about here? What is that? Anyway, but that's where I really like go wild. I know hot chocolate. I should make some hot chocolate. I have some. We made some together, remember? Tomorrow I can subscribe through Amazon Prime to your Twitch account. Cool. I haven't even seen how that works, like with subscribing through Twitch. So that'll be really cool. I'm excited about that. But I love the Discord in the club. As soon as I like, it's going to take me a minute, but like when I get to a place I can actually start growing, I will. I haven't given up even though the seed situation changed, but I still have seeds and I am still very interested in growing. I just don't have the space right now. Viewership is definitely growing. Been noticing from week to week. Thanks, Molto. Thank you. I see it growing. It takes time. I just think things just take so much time to to develop, right? To catch people, find out about it. She finished her little puzzle. She's a treat puzzle. Okay, let's keep learning about Seshet. It's interesting, right? Queen of Cannabis.
And this is often translated as a reference to the psychotropic effects of the cannabis plant. Cannabis itself is mentioned as a medicine in several ancient Egyptian medical texts. Rasmussen's third papyrus, which is dated back to 1700 BCE, Eber's papyrus dated to 1600 BCE, the Berlin papyrus dated to 1300 BCE, and the Chester Beatty 6 papyrus dated to 1300 BCE. And because of this association with Hachette and the cannabis plant, there has thus been born a modern veneration of this goddess, and her worship still persists unto this day within this subculture. And it is through this association that she has earned the moniker Seshat, the Queen of Cannabis.
I don't think so. You know what I get a lot of is like, I don't know what the hell that was about, but I got a lot of people. I get weirdos, like MAGA weirdos. I don't know what that was though, lady. Something. You're gone. I don't care. I'll kick you out of here, no problemo. I don't mind. Hi. This is nice. Oh, that's it. Okay. Vogue. Vogue. When THC turns lethal. They love it. Okay. I wanted to look up. I'm wondering if there's. No. Well, we're just going to have to look at some religious stuff, you guys. I'm sorry. Because it's just part of it, you know? So we'll learn about
Yeah,
Shiva.
let's talk about the religious aspects of cannabis in the country. And we will perhaps, use some of the texts you've mentioned. सबसे बड़ा तो जो stereotype वो ये है कि this is what I was propagated. This is what I was told when I was first considering whether I should smoke it or not. शिव जी भी तो पीते थे. और आप देखते हो अभी there are many images of like a graphic Shiva with a beard smoking a chillum.
Right.
So historically, I'm always curious, is he actually a stoner at some point? Do they make the god Shiv stoner unko banate hain? Or is it just some figment of an imagination to perhaps okay a behavior that is taboo? I always wonder. In your research, what did you find out?
So I'll first answer the very interesting question about ki whether he was always a stoner or कि हमने उनको stoner बनाया. My answer is कि हमने उन्हें बनाया. Like I'm an atheist, so to me, like we made Shiva in our image. Right. We gave him the properties that we consider to be the properties of like a kind of man that we admire.
Yeah, nomadic warrior with like friends for gauls and like destroyer, dancer.
He's just a chill dude. Like he's honestly like
he's just a chill guy.
He's a chill guy, man. Like I would love to hang out with him, even as someone who's an atheist, because I just think he's an awesome guy. Like but he's also a very dangerous guy. Like you don't want to fuck with him, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think now that said, the story goes that yes, in a lot of Hindu scriptures and Hindu mythologies, he is a stoner god in a way. I mean, do you know the story of the Samudra Mathana? The churning of the ocean.
The churning of the ocean, yeah.
And I mentioned this in my book where the gods and the devas and asuras are fighting for the Amrit, और Amrit लेके Garuda भाग जाता है, और in this hunt for Amrit, the poison also comes out called hala hala. And hala hala is now going to poison the entire cosmos.
Right.
And Shiva comes to the rescue and he swallows it all up. Yeah. He's like, man, don't worry, I got it. And this is why Shiva's neck turns blue. This is why he's Neelkant.
If you want to watch small segments of the podcast, subscribe to those cast clips.
The only thing that helps him
is cannabis.
Soothe down the pain of hala hala is bhang. So he takes some bhang and it makes him feel better. And all of a sudden, everyone's like, dekho, like this is such a wonderful thing. It takes away the pain of the poison.
But that's like the power of storytelling, right? Is like through this storytelling of taking cannabis for pain, that story is that's how That's how we survive as a species, is through these sharing of stories. And in here, you can really see that, because through this story, people learn that cannabis is a healing plant. So, hey, you can take this for pain. And how do you make it so it's more trustworthy, is like, well, this is how Shiva saved himself and felt better after taking this poison. So it's really interesting. Very cool.
Which is, all these mythologies come from some truth. They come from the fact that this must have been used medicinally by ancient Indians.
Yeah.
They made a story around it to make people believe that, this is something that soothes your pain. And similarly, of course, I've also quoted the Atharva Veda, which is known as the Veda of the Ayurveda, or the medicinal scriptures of Indian history. This is written, 3,000 years ago or something, where bhang is named as among the plants or the jari booties, so to say, that
the 5 healing jari booties.
The 5 healing jari booties that make up soma, and soma is like this great healer, something that can make you immortal. It's like a fictional thing. So this has been part of our, history. I think what they meant is they went to whatever they could for health. They didn't have we didn't have doctors who could research things. But they knew their knowledge. They knew what helps them. They knew what harms them, and this is something that helps them. So they made these stories about healthy things, and they have passed on for hundreds of years, thousands of years.
Because that's so much more interesting and easy to remember when you have it attached to this deity, right? You can remember that. I remember it. I heard that story one time and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this story, and it's a way of sharing knowledge. So isn't that cool? There is benefit to, whatever. It's always a double-edged sword.
So, soma is something very interesting, because soma ka bar passages mein mention aata hai. Many contemporary commentators on Hinduism and our books always bring up soma as some kind of elixir. The god Indra, who I actually have a picture of right here, was a deep addict of soma.
Okay.
Because he wanted unquenchable power. But some people say it's like a psychedelic. I know Aldous actually mentioned soma in his book, The Island. It's very fascinating, because you even say that in the 18th century CE, some Sanskrit medicinal text also calls it an anti-phlegmatic.
Okay, 1 second. I want to put this one in. You already had enough treats and you had food and you got to chill, little girl.
Hey friends, welcome to Classics in Color, your weekly dive into some of the ancient world's wackiest facts. I'm Mark Graves, and today we're going to be dipping our toes into the ongoing debate of, was cannabis used in the ancient world, and if so, how and how much? This is a topic that I've been interested in for a while, but have been kind of intimidated to tackle, partly because it's not something I know tons about. I've never encountered it in a class or a seminar. It's just not something that comes up very often. And the other thing I was worried about is that everybody who
She's not a stoner. She's trying to say she's not a stoner.
Writes about this topic is going to be in one of two camps. Either they're going to think that cannabis is stupid, the ancient Greeks never used cannabis, and anyone who researches cannabis is an idiot. And on the other hand, everyone else is going to think that cannabis is amazing, the Greeks were using cannabis all the time, and any story or theory that we have ever heard about cannabis use is just automatically true. So I don't trust either of those people, so I tried to...
Molto says, can you imagine the difference in potency 3,000 years ago? And totally, it was probably very weak.
Read a little bit of both and hopefully find a happy middle. But I mean, new information is coming out all the time, and like I said, I'm by no means an expert on this topic, so definitely look into it yourself and don't consider this video like the definitive.
I'm definitely feeling that peppermint bark. Should I eat a little more of it? It's pretty good. Oh,
yeah, let's talk about the religious aspect.
No. Sorry, you guys. I didn't mean to go back.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Classics. I've intimidated to tackle, partly because it's not something I know tons about. I've never encountered it in a class or a seminar. It's just not something that comes up very often.
Okay.
And the other thing I was worried about is, and on the other hand, everyone else is going to think I don't trust either of those people. So I tried to read a little bit of both and hopefully find a happy middle. But I mean, new information is coming out all the time. And like I said, I'm by no means an expert on this topic. So definitely look into it yourself and don't consider this video like the definitive word on this question. But the resources that I used are: one, Cannabis in the Ancient Roman World by Alan Sumler. Great book, and definitely on the pro-cannabis side. And then I also found an article, Marijuana in Ancient Greece and Rome, the Literary Evidence by Theodore F. Brunner, and he's on the no cannabis side. So check those out and let's get into a discussion of what they say. So there isn't a debate over whether ancient Greeks and Romans would have had access to cannabis because hemp was grown all over the place. It was produced commercially for use in things like ropes and textiles, and also sometimes in medicine. So in some medical texts, cannabis will be mentioned as an ingredient, but it's not used, as far as we can tell, ever for its psychoactive properties, altering consciousness, anything like that. It's usually used for things like earaches, so not necessarily what you would want to see. It's not as exciting, at least.
Oh, that's good.
And it doesn't really come up in the literature, and that is the main thrust of Theodore's argument, because he says, look, wine is mentioned like countless times. It's all over the place. Wine consumption, wine manufacture. There's a whole dedicated god to wine. So the Greeks have no problem talking about that drug, and if they were using cannabis on anywhere near that level, we would expect way more references to it, but there's only like a handful of references to cannabis at all. So his argument is that, therefore, based on what the Greeks and Romans themselves say, it seems like they were almost never using cannabis recreationally. There are a couple exceptions to this. For instance, the Greek.
So it was like for earaches. I hate an earache. I haven't had an earache, knock on wood. I haven't had an earache since I was a kid. I'm playing with Bonbon. Okay.
Greek historian Herodotus mentions cannabis being used recreationally or for those psychoactive properties, but it's not in reference to the Greeks. Actually, it's in reference to some different groups of foreigners, and those are some interesting passages, so let's take a look at least one of them. This passage is in reference to an unnamed group of people who live on islands on the river Araxes. So it says, "They know, it is said, of trees which have a fruit, whereof this is the effect. Assembling in companies and kindling a fire, the people sit around it and throw the fruit into the flames. Then the smell of it as it burns make them drunk as the Greeks are with wine, and more drunk as more fruit is thrown on the fire, till at last they rise up to dance and even sing." And then, to get into Alan's argument, he points out that the word in that passage of Herodotus for being intoxicated is methiskontai, which basically just means drunk, and that if you look, the Greeks don't actually have a separate word.
Methiskontai? Is anyone Greek? Methiskontai? Or would it be methiskontai? Is it methiskontai or methiskontai? Probably the first way. Probably the way she said it.
For being high or being intoxicated, they all are just being drunk. And so he argues that the Greeks could easily be talking about consuming cannabis or other drugs, about being high or being intoxicated, and we just don't know it because it looks to us, if you're not paying attention, like they're just drinking. He also points out to some new archaeological evidence. People have gone and looked at like wine vessels and wine cups and found that if you like examine the dregs of those, put those under the microscope, that there's all kinds of chemicals in wine besides just wine, and sometimes it's just dyes or things to change the flavor, but sometimes they found a whole other drugs that have been added as well, so things like opium and hellebore.
Are you going to talk about shishat? Do you mean seshat? We just looked about seshet. We just learned about seshet, but let me look up shishet. I don't see shishet.
And cannabis. So you could easily make the argument that the Greeks were consuming cannabis, just not on its own. They were consuming it in and with wine, and that they didn't distinguish between it and wine, really. That it was all just kind of one thing, just one being intoxicated. And there is actually some literary evidence that this is the case as well. So if you look at Galen's De Alimentorum Facultatibus, he actually has a passage that indicates basically this. So he says, there are some who fry and consume the seed together with other desserts. I call desserts those foods which are consumed after dinner in order.
Isn't it interesting, but that they always knew that it needed to be heated?
To stimulate an appetite for drinking. The seed creates a feeling of warmth and, if consumed in large amounts, affects the head by sending to it a warm and toxic vapor. And Pliny, a Roman historian, has a...
Natalie says Twitch rules. Tell us why you prefer Twitch. Tell us. That was really good.
Similar passage that goes, there is a laughing weed in Bactria and along the Borsithines River. If this plant is consumed with myrrh and wine, different hallucinations are observed, and there is no end of laughing until you drink the kernel of pine nuts with pepper and honey in palm wine. So after looking at both of those passages as well as a few others, I think it is pretty reasonable to think that the Greeks and Romans probably did consume cannabis fairly regularly. They just didn't like to have it by itself, and they didn't smoke it. They preferred to have it in other food and drink. So seems reasonable, but I don't agree with Ellen on everything. There was actually one passage that made me burst out laughing while I was reading it. So he said at one point that the inclusion...
Okay, so Natalie says that she doesn't know if she'd go as far as to say that she prefers it, but she thinks it's cool. Okay, cool. Guerra gave me a flame. Molto said making edibles way back when. That's right. Cannabis in so many late medical texts is proof that the ingredient. Do you see how it's considered an ingredient? Was commonly available and always effective. Well, they knew to heat it.
Of cannabis in so many late medical texts is proof that the ingredient was commonly available and always effective. Pharmacy was built on observed outcome, after all, so cannabis passed the curative test.
Right. It works.
So I find this kind of hilarious because on the one hand, I mean, there is some truth to it that doctors and just people who dealt with medicine in the ancient world did observe what worked and tried to repeat that, but that was by no means completely effective. If you followed my channel at all, you know that there are all kinds of bizarre, strange, wacky cures that the Greeks and Romans used on a regular basis for centuries that, as far as we know now with modern science, have nothing to do with curing people. So I just find that kind of funny and weird that he's saying that because cannabis shows up so often in the medical text that it was obviously effective. That just doesn't really make sense to me. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope that you found it as interesting.
Do you get what she's saying? She's saying, like, just because this was something that was done in the past, like it was common practice around the world to do all sorts of silly things. Used to bloodlet. But cannabis is medicinal and we can see now with modern methods of measuring effectiveness of a drug or a medicine, whatever you want to call it, you can see the benefits of cannabis for a lot of different illnesses, most famously epilepsy with children. And it's not for everybody. Obviously, there are a lot of new things that are coming out about cannabis and some of the adverse effects sometimes that can happen. But for the most part. And like, it's just like any other drug. Sometimes people take aspirin. I remember for the longest time, I was like, I wasn't allowed to take aspirin because I wasn't old enough to take aspirin because something happened, right? So some people drink alcohol and have a really adverse effect to that. Some people, it just, except for there's no medicinal benefits to alcohol. So I just think like, I don't know, whatever. She was already laughing and kind of like, I can't believe I'm talking about this. So I think it was a little bit biased. Okay, let's look at whatever this is. Library of Thoth. I don't know what that is.
What if the most powerful spiritual tool was the one they told you to fear? Cannabis has been painted as a vice, a distraction, a drug that dulls your senses and numbs your ambition. But that's not the full story. It never was. Long before it was banned, it was sacred. Long before it was criminalized, it was ceremonial. It wasn't used to escape life, it was used to understand it. Across ancient cultures, cannabis was revered, not for how it made you feel, but for what it helped you see. It was never meant to be entertainment. It was a mirror, a teacher, a gateway. So why did they turn a sacred plant into a symbol of laziness and rebellion? Why did they sever the link between altered states and spiritual evolution?
What the fuck is this?
Because when you're connected to your own inner knowing, you're dangerous. You stop looking for truth in temples built by men and start finding it within. And that kind of freedom can't be taxed, tamed, or controlled. Long before law.
I can't. Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. I see, like, is this another one of those? Look at, is this like some weird thing that's, look at this one. Let's see this one. So serious, these things.
Okay, welcome back. And for all my heads, happy 420. And I wanted to talk about cannabis and its link to mythology and ancient cultures.
Yeah,
and there's several gods who we know stand out as having used cannabis. So I'm going to lead you on a narrative because I think some of these concepts are going to tie in together. And the idea of cannabis use in the ancient world are going to tie around a couple of concepts. The first is something that's going to sound...
Maddo is now a mature hot woman who lives in Austin, USA. Some dude and his ferret. I am not Maddo, and I definitely do not live in Texas. I don't think so. Nope.
Very familiar, which is about medicinal use. And we'll talk about the cultures that looked at cannabis in that regard.
I watched Goosebumps.
The other big point is this access to sacred knowledge. And I'm going to explain this narrative as it becomes a repetitive theme in multiple cultures that we all respect. Now, the first I'm going to talk about is Kemetic belief systems. And from Kemetic beliefs, we have Sesh. Sesh was a goddess of wisdom, knowledge. She shares a very sacred role as one of the scribes. She was a deity of writing itself, sacred geometry, memory, and cosmic architect. So she is already in line with sacred knowledge in that regard. Now, she's shown oftentimes wearing a 7-pointed star above her head that many modern scholars and Afrocentrics link to the use of cannabis. Now, this is important because understanding that during this period of time in that area of Africa, they did use cannabis. They have a long history. So not only do we see her symbolism with the cannabis plant, but also knowing that they did have use. Now, this is mentioned in some of the papyrus scrolls, and it is used for inflammation, pain, and psychological conditions. But specifically for her, she ties in this connection of sacred knowledge. And we'll see more of that. She represented the altered mental state of perfect memory, one that was enhanced by sacred herbs. So this is her connection. It was not recreational. It was a sacred circuitry to commune with higher math and cosmic order. the kind of mental space that sesh rules. Now, work with me because I'm going to build on this theme here. As I go on to Hindu belief system, there is Shiva, the Hindu god who literally introduced cannabis to humans, and it is directly tied to his mythos. In that lore, after a family argument, Shiva wanders into the forest and he discovers the cannabis plant. He eats it and becomes calm and enlightened. And from that moment on, cannabis is gifted as his sacred gift to mankind, helping meditation, to dissolve ego, and to see the truth. So again, a similar format that we see in what Seshet was doing, accessing sacred knowledge, what Shiva was also doing, accessing sacred knowledge. And cannabis is consumed in 3 forms in India. The bhang drink, mainly during festivals, but also charas and ganjas smoked by holy men as offerings to Shiva. So definitely they have a strong link to this same concept. Now, having seen both these 2 ancient belief systems who are reflecting cannabis as access to higher knowledge, we then turn to the idea of the burning bush in biblical myth, in which Moses encounters a bush that burns but is not consumed. And through that, he hears the voice of God. This is very much in tune with how Seshet regarded this as being accessed, and Shiva as well. And many historians and herbalists have speculated about its symbolism. The Hebrew term, which means cannabis, appears many times in the Old Testament and is used as a sacred anointing oil given to Moses in the Exodus account. So beyond that, we know other belief systems regard cannabis as a sacred implement. The Rastafari belief of the African diaspora. They use cannabis as a sacrament and a meditative aid, very similar to what we've seen in these 2 previous religions. And while in Jamaica, this belief system draws heavily upon Ethiopian and African spiritual.
Harry Lee, thank you for the super chat. Let me put your name on the board again. I'm writing people's names on the board twice. You're up there twice. Thank you for the super chat. You love the funny faces. I'm just reacting. Reacting to these videos. I don't know. I feel like I could see that. I just think it's a bit of a stretch. It's like, oh, the burning bush was cannabis. It wasn't that like the bush, like it was that it like all of a sudden set on fire. I don't know. Who knows?
Identity. Other parts of Africa also supported the use of cannabis. We can go all the way to East Africa, in Ethiopia, Kenya, and the Sudan. And cannabis has a long history of traditional medicine. It is sometimes smoked or infused as part of healing practices, and is used by Sufi sects in North Sudan. Now, in the Congo Basin, Central Africa, it is used in initiation rites and medicinally, and Bantu-speaking groups have centuries of cannabis use. Now we'll go a little bit further because we'll talk about the Haitian and Voodoo myths, which of course originate from West Africa. So now we're talking about the other. So we've talked North Africa, Central Africa, West Africa. So we're talking Benin, Togo, Nigeria, and cannabis has always been a part of herbalist and spiritual practices, though not universally used. Some sects do use it as a healing herb and also to facilitate trances. And some of this, of course, translated to the Americas during the slave trade. So we see that same religious belief in the Americas and in South America, still practicing cannabis along with their voodoo beliefs, oftentimes as an offering for a deity or again to get to a higher state of meditation. Now, in ancient China, of course, Asia, cannabis was used medicinally and spiritually for over 2,000 years. And Taoist shamans reportedly used cannabis incense to facilitate spiritual communication and divination. And there's texts that are dedicated mentioning its psychoactive properties and healing properties. Now, this is also similar in Nepal and Tibet, where cannabis was smoked by Buddhist and Hindu practitioners, especially in the border region. It was used again as an aid to meditation and spiritual insight. And ganja is still present in certain temple offerings and practices of today. Further along in Central Asia, we see the early Scythian shamans, who are the Indo-Indians, who had closed tents for spiritual and funerary rites. And they smoked cannabis and filled these tents. Now, this is described by the Greek scholar Herodotus.
I think we look at Herodotus together and we saw that quote, and it's basically like they were throwing it onto the hot rocks and it was like the first vaporization.
It is described by the Greek scholar Herodotus that they inhaled the fumes for purification and contact with spirit. Again, that connection to the beyond. And evidence from burial mounds show cannabis remains and spiritual equipment linked to these cultures. So again, cannabis has a long history with mankind, celebrated in various ways. 420, which is coming up, is just another addition to a long history of appreciating this sacred and divine plant as it is used by some.
Cool. Oh my God, my dog is so passed out. She's so cute. I just love her so much. She's so sweet. You guys, we have to get her knee fixed. I'm also like nervous to do it because she doesn't like to sit still, and she's really gonna have to sit still. When we do that, she won't be able to, like, will barely be able to go for a walk to go to the bathroom. What else? Oh, let me take these off for a second. I love Bonbon Patty. She really is just a delightful, like, she's smiling right now in her sleep. She's just laying there like, yeah. I can't get another dog Molto. I can't afford one. Dogs are a huge responsibility and expense. When I move, I'll get her, like, after we get this knee surgery, because that's going to be very expensive. And then after she'll need to heal. And I don't think, like, jumping around and playing with another dog is what she should do. And then I need to move. This place is already small with like one dog. With two dogs, it would be a nightmare. Right now you look so young on screen. I feel like you're 16. And so are we in chat, and you're talking to us past your bedtime. I am 39. I'm like looking at myself. I'm like, ugh, I look so tired. I was not thinking that. I was thinking, you look old and tired. But thank you so much. But no, I'm not. Meadow. That's always the weirdest part. I'm like, she's like a teenager in that show. Anyway, what else? Let's see. I don't want to watch that. I feel like I want to see it in ancient Rome. Let's see if this is anything interesting.
Nowadays, cannabis plays a hugely important role in our society, but the plant's history is a little harder to parse. So what did 420 look like 2 millennia ago? Much of what we know about ancient Rome's relationship to cannabis comes from a small number of scattered texts. Any cups, bowls, or containers used to house cannabis have been long destroyed and can't be chemically analyzed. And even though cannabis shows up in ancient literature, it's never directly explained, as the audience of the time wouldn't have needed such explanation. Think about it. If a play written in 2023 featured a scene in which a character casually popped a couple of aspirin, would that character go on a detailed diatribe about aspirin's function, purpose, creation, and role in society?
Right.
Almost certainly not. And yet, many aspects of Roman cannabis usage will be strangely familiar to us today. The first documented use of marijuana was in 2800 BCE in China, before the plant traveled through India, the Middle East, Greece, and Rome. It was commonly used to treat arthritis, asthma, depression, pain, and other medical conditions. By the 1st century, the Romans knew it enough to distinguish between wild and domesticated cannabis, that is, marijuana and hemp. During this period, people around the world would have pressed cannabis to make hash or resin, passed water through it like tea, or thrown the psychoactive strain over heat and inhaled it.
Ah, man. That's some heavy shit.
Cannabis found its way into Roman society in part through medicine, and much of that medical knowledge came from Greece. In fact, it's a
Do you think, like, yeah, of course it came from Greece, but like, do you think they were just like at the Colosseum? Do you think it was like that common? Like they would just go watch the gladiators kill each other and be like, hey, pass that shit? Was that how it was? Were the gladiators, were they baked? Were there, I always am interested in like ancient edible recipes. Like, are there other recipes out there that are, you know, that were infused? Like, what was the very, very, very first? I think it's Majun.
It's impossible to talk about cannabis in ancient Rome without talking about Greece. Our most methodical and thorough source of information comes from the Greek physician Pedanius Dioscorides, who in 77 CE compiled his 5-volume tome De Materia Medica, which translates to On Medical Matters. This text catalogs the descriptions and medical applications of 600 herbs, roots, stems, fruits, vines, and animal products in great detail. He says that opium, for instance, makes for a good anesthetic during surgery. Dioscorides separates cannabis into cannabis amaros and cannabis agria. Dioscorides says that cannabis amaros acts as birth control and reduces earaches if eaten. When boiled and topically applied, cannabis agria reduces inflammation and fluid retention and disperses hardened matter around the joints. That is, it helps with arthritis. Around the same time, Roman author and naturalist Pliny the Elder echoed Dioscorides in his 37-book-long natural history, although he was far less precise about the subject. Pliny writes that eating cannabis seeds, quote, makes the genitals impotent, and eating its root when boiled eases cramped joints.
Well, actually, they have found that. They have found that, like, if you're trying to have a kid and you're a guy, it reduces your sperm count. So I don't know about the birth control thing. That, I don't know what's up with that. But I do know that it does decrease your sperm count. They recommend that you don't. I am for sure feeling that bark. Just want you all to know that I definitely feel it. It is so, rosin, it's like once it's decarbed and you could just put it into chocolate, it's so tasty. Like I didn't taste it at all. It just tasted like peppermint bark. I know, right? Score. There you go. If you wanna do that, just smoke a bunch of weed.
While its juice regulates the bowels of animals.
Okay, I will say that too. I don't know about you guys, but definitely cannabis like relaxes me, and so it's like part of my morning ritual, if you catch my drift. So
He also claims the juice of the plant drives out of the ears the worms and of any other creature that has entered them, which might refer to treating earaches. Even though hemp bags, shoes, and clothing might be more of an ecological fashion statement nowadays than anything else, it seems that the ever-practical Romans valued the practical uses of cannabis above its medical uses. Our modern idea of hemp is that of cannabis with a tetrahydrocannabinol content of 0.3% or less, but this definition didn't exist in ancient Rome or Greece. Nevertheless, in the ancient world, certain cannabis plants were considered to be particularly useful for textiles and related products.
okay, so that's the original use of hemp. Like when we're talking about hemp versus cannabis, like hemp, it's all the same plant. I know I've had this conversation so many times, but in case you're new here, also I wanted to poll you guys. I'm gonna poll you. I just am curious to see. You're gonna have to watch me type this. Yay. Oh shit. No option. I don't want this. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Okay. I had asthma growing up, but I've been smoking cannabis half my life. I grew out of my symptoms. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. Let's go. Okay.
In natural history, Pliny the Elder describes 3 qualities of cannabis separated by region, which need to be dried, cleaned, and peeled before being used to make different products. The best, he says, comes from a region called Arab Hisar and makes good hunting nets. Dioscorides similarly says that Cannabis amaros is a plant of considerable use in this life for twisting very strong ropes. It is also believed that the
See, so cannabis has all of these different different uses. So you could use it for cordage, fiber, like for the actual stalk of the plant. And then when you grow cannabis, do I like weed humor? Molto. If you guys have a question you really want me to answer, you can always send me a super chat via Venmo and Cash App. I don't know. I don't ever watch it, so I guess that answers your question.
Romans used cannabis for rope, boat sails, and wicker goods like baskets, clothing, and shoes. By all accounts, the ancient Romans were far less interested in recreational cannabis use than they were in making textiles. In fact, some historians have suggested that the Romans seemed oddly naive about, or disinterested in, the psychoactive properties of cannabis. That's not to say it wasn't known to the ancient world, though. The Greek comic Ephippas wrote about getting high on cannabis seeds back in the 4th century BCE. A century earlier, the Greek historian Herodotus wrote in the histories about Scythian nomads throwing cannabis on hot coals and tents and howling in their joy at the results. So why so little mention of such uses centuries later? Here we come across the same issue we alluded to before. What happened versus what was written down. Ancient Rome considered itself the most moral of nations and valued modesty, moderation, and temperance above all other virtues, especially as they related to public duties and reputation. Is it unreasonable to conclude that Romans would be unwilling to openly discuss using cannabis recreationally? And yet, in natural history, Pliny the Elder at least describes cannabis as the laughing weed. He also says it can be added to wine to make it even more intoxicating.
Whoa, so Pliny the Elder was telling people to get crossfaded? That's wild. That is wild. I don't recommend that so much, other than the lit limoncello in my cookbook. I don't know. I don't get the cannabis seed. I guess they were like I don't feel like seeds have any potency to them. So maybe they mean like they were taking the seedy weed, right? Like maybe they were getting like it was still surrounded by flowers, or there was like some kind of trichomes resin on the seeds, and that's what they were doing. But I don't really understand.
Entertained? Are you not entertained?
Along those lines, it's entirely possible that Roman life might have involved much more recreational cannabis usage than was recorded. Roman values were based around restraint, which in a religious and political sense meant intense conservatism and suspicion of change. Top to bottom, Roman life was steeped in ancestor worship, gods and rites of the home, daily offerings and prayers, ceremonial magic, nature worship, the religion of the state, and so on. In other words, if the Romans were going to adopt cannabis use in any kind of pervasive religious sense, its use would have had to be deeply involved in the foundations of Roman religion, or else be heavily justified in practice. This means that Romans most likely didn't use cannabis directly in religious ceremonies, but in more fuzzy, religion-adjacent areas. That said, it was occasionally seen as a symbolic plant. In the 3rd century CE, Roman dream interpreter Artemidorus mentioned the significance of seeing cannabis fiber in a dream versus seeing a cannabis flower. Nevertheless, while some have speculated that cannabis played an important part in Roman religious rites, There's no real evidence to substantiate such claims, especially when it came to mainstream religion.
Interesting.
Now,
okay. Did we already watch this? I want to look at this. I know this is a little off topic, but we're going to watch it anyway.
Cannabis use is becoming increasingly mainstream, but before widespread legalization, there were literary giants, physicians, philosophers, and revolutionaries going back centuries who partook of the herb. These are some historical figures who may have dabbled in cannabis. While we probably wouldn't take his medical advice today, in the 1st century, Pliny the Elder was one of Rome's top scientific and medical voices. Pliny was a savant whose discoveries and writings would influence scientists for generations. His best-known work was the 37-volume Natural History, which deals with the world's physical, geological, zoological, botanical, and medicinal history. In particular, books 10 to 32 detail Pliny's thoughts on contemporary medical literature and the use of drugs, and it's here that we find references to cannabis and marijuana. He refers to a type of cannabis drink or tea that's helpful for things like pain reduction and gout. And in Book 24, Pliny refers to the Gelotophilis plant that, when mixed with myrrh and wine, causes laughter and visions.
Roman red, a whole field of wacky weeders.
The translation for Gelotophilis is lapping leaves, and is thought by some to mean hashish, a form of marijuana derived from the plant's resin.
Gelotophilis. That's funny. Gelotophilis. Is a little different than the medical cannabis.
Pliny's use of Gelotophilis was a little different than the medical marijuana of today, though it does seem to have produced similar effects on patients. Few writers are as highly esteemed as Englishman William Shakespeare. Even today, more than 400 years after his death, he's arguably considered the greatest playwright of all time.
William Shakespeare?
Yet when people talk about Shakespeare, his possible connection to cannabis is rarely mentioned.
What?
I pray thee, gentle mortal, sing again.
To be fair, there wasn't really any evidence that he used marijuana outside of his colorful imagination until early 2001. That's when researchers published evidence in the South African Journal of Science that indicated that he may have been a pot smoker back in the day. The researchers tested 24 different pipes found at locations where Shakespeare lived, and they showed some surprising results. 1/3 of the pipes they tested had residue indicative of burnt cannabis. In addition to marijuana, researchers found potential evidence of myristic acid and cocaine, as well as tobacco. To be clear, no proof directly attaches Shakespeare to the pipes. So even though we'll probably never know if it was Shakespeare himself blazing...
So they can't even connect Shakespeare to this. That's so silly. That doesn't mean nothing.
up, it is an intriguing thought. Long before marijuana dispensaries dotted the landscape of major cities like Denver and Los Angeles, some physicians in the medieval Islamic world were apparently prescribing cannabis to their patients. One such physician was Ibn Sina, more widely known as Avicenna. Avicenna lived in the 10th and 11th centuries in what is today Iran and Uzbekistan. He was probably most well known for his book, The Canon of Medicine. Though he published the text in the 11th century, Western medical students in the 1600s were still reading it, which is pretty extraordinary. Of the huge list of things that Avicenna would prescribe to his patients, cannabis sativa was used for a variety of ailments. These included headaches, infections, degenerative bone disease, eye inflammation, swelling, and gout. Avicenna used cannabis for its anti-inflammatory properties and would administer it locally to his patients. Today, doctors recommend marijuana for a wide variety of ailments, but not for things like degenerative bone disease. However, a 2004 study in Noonan Schmiedeberg's Archives of Pharmacology did find it useful for helping combat edema, so maybe Avicenna was onto something after all. One of the most famous figures of the Mexican Revolution, Pancho Villa led an interesting life. Born in 1878, Villa joined the revolution in 1910 to fight the corrupt Mexican government, led by Porfirio Diaz. By 1914, he was a fugitive, but he had an army of 5,000 men by his side. Following the Second Battle at Tarion in March, where they defeated the government, Villa's exploits with marijuana were lionized in a song called La Cucaracha. According to High Times, the chorus of La Cucaracha is translated as, the cockroach, can no longer walk, because he hasn't marijuana to smoke. Villa is the cockroach who needs marijuana so he can fight while under the influence, which was supposedly something he and his army did with frightening regularity.
I don't know about this. This is this grunge again. I feel like they kind of just make things up. I might need to take my contacts out. My eyes bugging me. Put my glasses on. I'm going to keep playing this. Sorry.
In addition to Spaniards and Mexicans, there were many Yankee natives in Villa's army. Many of the Yankees are said to have smoked marijuana before going into battle, using its psychoactive properties to make them more formidable and dangerous. Villa's other troops may have also smoked too, in addition to drinking psychedelic whiskey and mezcal. It's somewhat terrifying to think of a THC-fueled army running wild, but luckily Villa has been dead for 100 years. His name isn't very well known today, especially in the West, but Huato was an important physician and surgeon who lived in ancient China during the 2nd and 3rd centuries. While we don't think of our ancient ancestors doing complex medical procedures, the first surgeries actually date back as far as 8,500 years ago. Nowadays, when someone gets major surgery, they're often put to sleep with a powerful anesthetic. However, back in Huato's day, the process was a little more difficult, and his preparation involved an anesthetic he referred to as malfeasance. We don't know exactly what Huato put in his malfeasant cocktail, but some speculate it could have been a combination of cannabis resin and wine, or cannabis and the datura plant. The author of the Count of Monte Cristo and the Three Musketeers, Alexandre Dumas Père, was quite the marijuana. Connoisseur back in the day. The French author lived from 1802 to 1870 and was a major force in the French Romantic literary movement. As it turns out, from 1844 to 1849, Dumas was part of the mysterious French Club de Hashishan, or the Hashish Club. Other great French writers of the day, like Victor Hugo, Charles Baudelaire, and Théophile Gautier, were also part of the group. They smoked in a hotel on the left bank of the Seine River. The Gothic building had gargoyles. While at the house, members dressed in Arab garb and drank coffee infused with hashish, they called dawamesk.
Maybe I'm high or something, man. Or maybe you're in the present.
The leader of the group, Dr. Jacques-Joseph Moreau, had been smoking hash since the 1830s when he visited the Middle East and brought the drug back home with him to France. Though Dumas never wrote about his personal experiences with hashish, his book The Count of Monte Cristo mentions the use of dawamesk during the scene with Sinbad the sailor, and he published it just as he joined the hash club, coincidentally or not. Few women in history are as famous as Queen Victoria.
Speaking of, looks like we're in good company, people. These glasses are so dirty. I need to get some. I'm gonna get new glasses soon. Not that I don't like these, but they're just so old and fucked up. I mistreat them. Very mean to these glasses, but I like to wear them because it's better when you can, for your eyeballs.
Who had an entire era named after her. Yet while the Victorian era is thought of as prudish and excessively modest, marijuana use may have been an important part of the Queen's life. There's no direct evidence that Victoria ever actually smoked pot, though there is a ton of circumstantial evidence that leaves the possibility very open. Much of the speculation comes from a letter her physician, J. Russell Reynolds, wrote in 1890. The letter was quoted in an article published in The Lancet, titled Therapeutical Uses and Toxic Effects of Cannabis Indica. In it, Reynolds suggested the use of marijuana, referred to as Indian hemp, for all kinds of things. These included neuralgia, senile insomnia, and even epilepsy. Throughout the article, Russell is spirited.
Senile insomnia. See, that's what, honestly, like, that's all the people when I was first making my chocolates. It was not senile, but, you know, just like older people who had trouble sleeping and they didn't want to smoke. And I was like, here's a fucking fancy ass chocolate. Give someone. Maha's mother-in-law loved that peppermint bark. Loved it. Loved it. Because it feels great. Feels fun. Gonna sleep like a baby. Boop. And it's old Old medicine. That's what I say about vaccines. Here we go, man. Here we go. Here we go. It's a sesh. Okay. One, I ate that peppermint bark. My eyes, whenever I eat edibles, my eyes get dry. I will say, whenever 11-hydroxy THC always makes my eyes a little dry. And I had to take out my contact lenses because it was like, sorry, hot boxing. This is some Cali hash, sour strawberry. Yeah, my eyes get dry. I tried to get Visine to sponsor the sesh, but they didn't. They never got back to me. Maybe I should reach out to them again. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep on keeping on. Watching this here. If you would like to join the Edibles Club. Oh, wait. No, what's that? Wait, 44% of you said no. What is that? The Edibles Club is my Patreon. Let me see if I can show you guys. I want to show you from not my screen. Can I bring it up on... Let me see if I can do... I want to see it. Wait, Patreon, the Edibles Club, but view page. Okay, let me show you guys. I think this will work. So this is the Edibles Club. Yeah, you can see this. This is my club, right? So here is where I posted this. So if you ever want to just like, you can join for free. The link is up top. It's pinned to the top up there. And you can join for free and it'll give you like a notification whenever I post. And you can see like when I'm going live. Of course, if you subscribe on YouTube or Twitch, it'll tell you when I'm going live. But if there's ever any updates and things, like shit happens with YouTube, especially, you can join here and I'll give you updates. I also like post things like I'm doing the San Francisco Baking Institute invited me to like be a guest speaker. They're teaching my book. So I don't, whatever. But I'm going to be a guest speaker for cannabis bread baking fundamentals with Chef Miyuki, who is really talented pastry chef. So I'm always excited to work with chefs and to infuse her breads. And well, I don't know if she's a pastry chef or a baker in general. What are you guys talking about? Like the shirt you sport on the show. I don't know what's going on in the chat, but this is my club. So I post things like other, my videos here, and there's the podcast that I was doing with Nina. She got a job, so I'll be happy for Nina. Anyway, this is my club, and this is how it all like just is possible, is this club. And so there's like memberships you can join, different tiers. Pre-roll is if you want to get into the Discord and you can kind of like just kind of snoop, you join as the pre-roll. And then there's high five is like once you get you want to be able to talk. And then there's quarter up, and there's bounce for ounce, there's edibles producer. So there's a bunch of different tiers that you can join. And mainly it supports the stream so I can do this and hang out with all of you because I'm demonetized in so many different ways. It sucks, but whatever. We're staying positive. We are staying positive
about the positive effects of marijuana, making it clear he thinks Indian hemp is a very viable medicine.
I'm just going to write a prescription for you for 2 huge...
So if you want to join the club, that's also like where you can get a direct message to me. Like you can DM me. We have a Discord. I pulled up the Discord earlier. But people drop like their recipes, their grows. If you have questions, if you're traveling places, I'm going to create a travel channel. So if people want to go like, hey, I'm going to Germany. What are some great places to hit in Germany? Like we have members in Germany. Why not? We should totally be connecting with each other and, can find out like what the cool spots are in different places around the world. So, I like to travel where cannabis is legal.
Bags of weed.
Though he never mentioned Victoria in the article, people assume that, as his patient, she may have been prescribed Indian hemp for menstruation. There was even an Indian Hemp Drugs Commission in the 1890s that recommended it for menstrual pain. We may never know for sure if Victoria used it, but it was definitely a hit with her physician. Even today, writing a play that largely revolves around the use of hashish would be pretty bold, which is what makes Louisa May Alcott's 1869 Perilous play such an audacious decision. Published just a few years after the Civil War, the play deals with a group of friends who take hashish bonbons together and have a vivid experience.
Don't worry, it'll just give us trippier visuals. Buckle up, Buttercup.
It has dark moments of terror and near assault, and ends with one of the main characters saying, "Heaven bless hashish."
Yeah.
Not exactly your typical 19th century love story. In fact, the author of the play, Louisa May Alcott, who served as a nurse during the Civil War, was known to use hashish in her personal life.
Yeah.
And Perilous Play wasn't the only story she wrote that referenced cannabis. Another one from 1877, A Modern Mephistopheles, also sees the main characters eating edibles infused with hashish. And she even references her own personal use through her writing in the story. It seems that Alcott was more into smoking hash than doing edibles, and she also drank beer and used opium. At the time, her drug use was completely legal, and her substance use was far from unique among those who'd experienced the Civil War. Today, Alcott is best known for her 1868 book Little Women and its sequel Little Men, neither of which mention cannabis. Of all the medical uses of cannabis recognized by doctors today, it's unlikely you'll find many who recommend its use to help ease symptoms of passing gas.
You start breaking gas. Don't break gas and destroy our meal.
Yet if you had been alive and gassy during the 9th and 10th centuries and were living near Ray, in what was then called Persia, you may have had access to the famous physician Al-Razi, in which case you'd have been in luck. Al-Razi used cannabis to treat multiple issues, including flatulence and epilepsy, as well as dandruff and earaches.
Wow.
He suggested that when taking cannabis seeds or hashish orally, it was important to drink fresh water and eat acidic fruits to avoid a bad reaction. Al-Razi was also an alchemist, and his medical knowledge may have been influenced by earlier Greek physicians like Claudius Galen and Pedanius Dioscorides, who had experimented with medical cannabis centuries prior. Al-Razi wasn't just a practitioner of medicine, he was also an intellectual who studied other cultures' medical practices, and as a result of his extensive studies, he continually recommended marijuana. The impression one might get after reading the works of Claudius Galen of Pergamum, a 2nd to 3rd century Greco-Roman physician and philosopher, is that the ancient Romans were big fans of pot.
Good stuff.
One of his most famous works was De Alimentorum Facultatibus, in which Galen suggested toasting marijuana and eating it to enhance certain meals.
See?
Hey. Smoke.
Isn't it so interesting how, like, we just have known as like a species, you have to heat this up to get it to activate it, So pretty cool. We're cool. Yeah. Yes. Hey everybody, I have been live for 2 hours now. I've had no technical difficulties so far. If you would like to send me a super chat and see your name on the board, I am accepting Venmo and Cash App. Those are the best ways to say thank you. If you have anything you want me to look up specifically, or you want me to send me a message to read out, As long as it's not offensive, send me a super chat and I will do that. Also, what else do I want to say? So yes, I have the San Francisco Baking Institute. It's a 2-day course. So I'll be there for 2 days. And it's right by the airport, which is nice. Like, it's not, if you don't like San Francisco, staying in the heart of the city can be a bit much, but it's pretty close to the airport. And what else? It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to like be able to teach a class. Well, not that I've never done that before. I feel like I do that every weekend with you. But to have something more structured and to have like, to get into it, it's really hard to dose with flour at home. But with concentrates, like we can really show people what to do. Oh, I guess we can't do that. We're going to have to use hemp. Whatever. We're going to figure it out. It's going to be fun. Toasting it and mixing it in what? I guess focaccia. Who knows? That's kind of what I'm curious about is like, what were some of the first recipes for cannabis? Like, how was it cooked with? Now, when I went to Thailand, one of the interesting things that was shared with me by a chef in Hat Yai was that cannabis was used as like the first MSG. They used it to make food taste better. And so because it would make you want to eat more, and that was a good thing, right? Like, you wanted to eat more. You already have the teacher look at my glasses. Can have a lesson plan. These are real. They're not fake. I'm negative 2.5. Not like that negative, but I'm nearsighted. Okay, so let's keep learning.
Weed every day.
You may have been referring to marijuana-infused
Madam Drum sent a super chat. Oh my gosh, for no technical difficulties. We did it. We did it. I always feel really good when I tried to set up super early today. I tried to really be on it. Just like, it's like a roller coaster. Sometimes I'm really with it, and sometimes I just not. Like, look at it. I did that. I did the board. I did all the things. Okay, we're putting Madame Dram on the board.
cakes, a widespread delicacy around ancient Italy that he and his compatriots would eat for dessert. But in addition to consuming cannabis recreationally, Galen also saw medical potential in the plant. He considered its use for earaches, as well as inflammation, upset stomach, gout, and muscle soreness. Importantly,
I have astigmatism. That sucks. I'm sorry.
Galen was cautious not to overuse marijuana, suggesting that too much could make you impotent or result in a headache. Galen was an influential position in his time.
Wow, look at those buns, man. Wow. But always really, I won't say it.
Impact was felt well over 1,000 years later by physicians and intellectuals. He influenced later Arabic and Muslim scholars, potentially including figures like Al-Razi, who later experimented with medical cannabis. When Théophile Gautier and Dr. Jacques-Joseph Moreau created the Hashish Club in the 1840s, they invited many leading literary figures of the day. In addition to Alexandre Dumas, Gautier and Moreau.
The Hashish Club. Oh my gosh, that's what Maha and I should start. I really want to do something fun with Maha.
Also brought along Charles Baudelaire, another famous French poet. Ironically, even though Baudelaire may have written most prominently about the use of hashish and was known to occasionally indulge, he wasn't a frequent user.
Baudelaire claimed to have an analytical interest in wine, hashish, and opium as elasticators of the imagination.
Baudelaire was a member of the Hash Club as an observer rather than a user of hashish, but he was known to have tried it at least a few times, and he may have previously used it when he contracted an STD as a young law student. But by middle age, he reportedly found hashish to be socially isolating and preferred wine.
After a while, they would start behaving very erratically and very hilariously, and then they would fall into a stupor.
Nonetheless, Baudelaire wrote the book Le Paradis Artificiel, or Artificial Paradise, which included the poem of Hashish. In the poem, Baudelaire describes how some people feel under the influence, both the negative and positive, and gives a brief history of hash, as well as its use by various cultures throughout the world. Even though he may not have been a heavy cannabis user, Baudelaire provided some valuable and interesting insight into its use during the 19th century.
Well, when I have real bad stomach pain, THC always helps. I always take a Tums. That's what I do. I take a Tums. Tum ta tum tum. Tum ta tum tum tum. That's what I do.
Penantius Dioscorides was an ancient Greco-Roman physician and pharmacologist who referred to cannabis as a cure for several ailments.
Which one?
Born in the year 8040 and passing away at the age of 50, Dioscorides wrote about hundreds of medical plants, including...
Let's look at that. Let's be grateful for that. We were dying at like 50. That sucks. And like that still happens, obviously, today. Anything can happen. That's why it's such a silly thing to... Did I clean this? It's such a silly thing to be ageist because, you know, like, what do you mean? Yes, I did. What do you mean you're going to be ageist? Like, we're lucky if we get older. You know, we're lucky. It means we're smart. And we're lucky. Okay? We made it out of youth. We got out of youth. Whew! Close call, man. I did some stupid shit when I was younger. For you. Happy to be here. Thank you very much. Happy to be here with all of you. So, don't be ageist.
The cannabis plant. His contemporaries included Pliny the Elder, another proponent of the medical use of cannabis. Dioscorides' seminal work is
Is Pliny the word of the day? Pliny the Elder, Pliny the Elder, Pliny the Elder. What else? Maybe there needs to be a movie about Pliny the Elder. We need to learn more about this guy. Who the heck was Pliny the Elder? He had a big role.
Terra Medica, which translates to on medical matters, and that's where his references to marijuana are largely contained. Dioscorides suggested the use of cannabis for inflammation, earaches, and dubiously as a form of birth control.
Do not try that at home, kids. Do not try that at home.
We're always learning. You should never stop learning. Why stop learning? Why? It's so wonderful. Like the older you get, the wiser you could be. We have time to learn new things. I'm learning chess. I love it. It's so much fun for me.
For inflammation, Dioscorides suggested taking the roots of the cannabis plant and boiling it in water to form a curative medicinal concoction.
Oh.
But considering the
Super chat from Molto via Cash App. You always love to send $1. It makes me feel a little bit like I'm a dancer. That's the polite way of putting it. But it's okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your super chat. Let's see what you say. You said, what did you say? You didn't say, oh wait, no wait, let me see it. Via. Oh my God, that's funny. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, you're going on the board. Ooh, don't knock it over again.
Massive numbers of plants Dioscorides writes about, cannabis wasn't too high on his list. Oscar Wilde was a 19th century poet and novelist originally from Ireland. A highly educated man who went to several prestigious colleges in the United Kingdom, his poetry was well received by the late 1800s. He even toured the United States and Canada, though not everyone was a fan of his work or his idiosyncratic dress.
I'd do anything to regain my lost youth except take up exercise or get up early in the morning.
He would wear the chrysanthemum, right? He would wear a flower.
Tragically, Wilde would later be imprisoned due to his homosexuality, which happened around the time that he was known to use hashish. According to a letter Wilde sent to his friend Robert Ross from Algiers, in late January 1895, Wilde and his companion Lord Alfred Bosie Douglas were engaged in copious hashish smoking while on vacation. He went on about how much he enjoyed smoking, writing, "Bosie and I have taken to hashish. It is..."
I love them. This is a cute story. Tell this story. I love this story. Did they already tell it poorly?
Quite exquisite. 3 puffs of smoke and then peace and love. They seem to have been buying the hashish from locals and apparently had better luck finding it than they did a tour guide. In 1881, researchers studying ancient Egyptian mummies made a stunning discovery. When they were uncovering the tomb of the 19th century dynasty Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II, they found evidence of cannabis, not just within the burial site, but on the embalmed pharaoh himself. In all, they found 7 different grains of cannabis pollen on Ramses II.
Oh, that's cool. Different grains of cannabis pollen. What? Huh.
It was speculated that the cannabis was not native to Egypt, but had traveled some distance to get there. Ramses II is thought to have passed away in the early 13th century BC, meaning the cannabis had been...
Thank you, Molto. I appreciate it. I totally appreciate it. I just think I'm always like, it's funny to me. I'm like, okay.
In there for over 3,200 years by the time the researchers found it, a testament to the preservation properties
Make it 40 cents. Make it less, or 80 cents.
of the tomb's environment. Looking back, it's actually not that far-fetched that Ramses II could have been a marijuana user. Cannabis was used in Egypt for medical purposes as far back as the 16th century BC, hundreds of years before Ramses II was even born, as recorded on the Ebers Papyrus. Unfortunately, there are no clues as to why the marijuana was inside Ramses II's tomb, or whether he used the plant for medicinal or psychoactive
why else
purposes.
would it be in the, like, obviously, why else would you be like, hey, listen, when I die, make sure there's this plant in there with me. Like, yeah, that's what I'd like to do, is like compost me and then turn me into cannabis. Or like, yeah, I think maybe instead of compost, like cremate. I don't know. I have to look into it. Whatever's better for the environment. I'm sure composting is going to become so popular that it becomes like not good for the environment. So because we're so toxic with all the plastic, microplastic in our bodies, that like we can't do that. I don't know. I just feel like if you put yourself in a coffin, it's like all this other stuff. You don't become part of the earth. You're like, I don't know.
Pablo Picasso is widely regarded as one of the most influential painters and artists of the 20th century. He was also a brief user of hashish in the early 1900s. Picasso was born in Malaga, Spain in 1881, and by the
But then, like, think of all of like when you learn about all of the catacombs under Paris, and like there have been so many humans. Think about that. There's just so many humans. What's it about? Look at those humans. Look at them.
1890s, he was already making a name for himself as a painting prodigy in Madrid. At the turn of the century, Picasso made his way to Paris, which was followed by his blue, rose, and analytical cubism periods. It was during the latter that he is said to have used hashish. In Patrick O'Brien's Picasso...
Well, who did he do cubism with? Are you going to totally forget Brock? Hello? Hello? I always like to do that. That's so Picasso, just to take all the credit. Vanessa, have you seen Higher Learning the movie? I don't think so.
A biography. He claims that Picasso would ingest hashish pills with friends, though it was largely experimental on Picasso's part. Unfortunately for the artist, it seems as though his experience with the hashish pills was overall negative and he didn't want to keep using them. In addition, he found that one of his friends had died by suicide, potentially as a result of mixing hashish pills with other drugs, which really turned him off to the idea of further use. Following his brief flirtation with cannabis, Picasso went on to have his most successful artistic period, including his major contributions to the Surrealist movement. Though most people have likely never...
Wait, what the fuck did he just say?
Nowadays, cannabis...
Oh, fuck you.
Cannabis use is becoming increasingly mainstream.
Get out of here.
Though most people have likely never heard his name, anyone in favor of the use of medical cannabis ought to be familiar with Sir William Brooke's flirtation with cannabis. Picasso went on to have his most successful artistic period.
Saying that Picasso's most successful artistic period was the fucking surrealist movement is so stupid. I want you to just, it completely discredits everything in this fucking stupid ass video. The surrealist movement was not Picasso's major contribution. Maybe what he did with Brock Cubism, his early, I mean, he had so many different periods. But to say surrealism was something he like dabbled in because it was like cool for a second. But he was kind of like, anyway, what a dumb thing.
Including his major contributions to the Surrealist movement. Though most people have likely never heard his name, anyone in favor of the use of medical cannabis ought to be familiar with Sir William Brooke O'Shaughnessy. O'Shaughnessy was an Irish surgeon who began testing the use of cannabis as early as 1838 on sailors employed by the East India Company.
Cool.
By 1839, he was ready to present his findings, and his paper on the preparations of Indian hemp or ganja, published in the British and Foreign Medical Review, immediately
Hey, super chat. Emily. Tell me if you don't want me to put, I'm just going to put Emily on the board, okay? Emily C. I don't know what that means, but you can email me. You can always email me at info@vanessalaverato.com. I do check that. info@Vanessa, VANESSA, Laverato. I got it, Emily. I'm going to put you on the board. You're going on the chalkboard. I write in cursive. Because I'm old school. I'm going to put you up as Emily C. Oh, where can I put you? I don't want the blue to like, I want you to like, what do we got? Here we go. You're up on the board. Here, I'll show you. See? You're right there. All right. Thank you so much for the super chat. We chattered yesterday. Oh, hi. Yes, you emailed me. Hi. Yes, with your sister. No fat. Little complicated, but, and also because the liver is involved whenever you take edibles. Your liver and your gallbladder are involved. So you might want to be careful with that. And definitely work with her medical team. Thank you so much for the super chat. And yeah, I'm glad you asked about that. There is no certification. If you want to be a cannabis chef, you're a chef, right? So to me, what a chef is someone, private chef is different. You're a private chef, you're cooking for a family. When you're a chef, I don't call myself a chef. I'm not a private chef. I don't cook for families. I don't want to. And I'm not a chef in that I've never run a restaurant. I don't have a restaurant. I've never run a restaurant. I consider myself a confectioner, candy maker, chocolatier. But as far as like cannabis, as soon as you understand the ingredients and how to cook with them, I don't know. I don't remember where you're located. I need to get some water too, but I don't remember where. if you're in a legal state. Chef is a job title, exactly. But there are like there's certain requirements to be a chef, right? And I get called a chef all the time. I'm like, I'm not a chef. So I'm a jam chef. That's cool. So anyway, what was I gonna say? If for cooking with cannabis, especially like for other people, it really comes down to dosing and understanding like what they're using cannabis for and how to dose lightly to figure out, I think, unless you know someone has a very high tolerance and they need a high amount of milligrams of THC and they know that, then, like, yes, of course. But you have to think about, and I talk about this in my cookbook. I know I recommended it already, but just in case if you didn't know, I wrote a cookbook, How to Eat Weed and Have a Good Time. This is my first and only cookbook. And I really go into dosing a lot of mistakes that I've made as an edible maker. It's fun, it's colorful, it's beautiful, but it's also very informative. You can read the Amazon reviews. Like those are not, I don't have the money to pay for those reviews. Those are all real 5-star reviews. There's one-star review and you can read it. It's the most ridiculous, hilarious thing ever. So anyway, for the most part, it's people saying like, hey, this really made cooking with cannabis easy for me. And from flour to concentrates. Now, if you don't want to buy a cookbook, hey, I get it. It's $16 right now for the digital copy, and it's $24, I believe, from Amazon. You can get a store copy from Now Serving. I don't know if they still have signed copies. Cornerstone Wellness, you can call them, or you can call Green Label RX in Echo Park. They have signed copies, but yeah, it's a great book. It'll teach you how to dose your own recipes. I've had some really major chefs and like cookbook authors themselves say that it has saved them hours of time on their canna butter. I try not to I really want to be careful with people's brands in cannabis. So I don't ever repost some of the people who have said this book is awesome because I just want to protect their, just protect them because I know what kind of being public about cannabis can mean. But I just want to say there's some really cool people who've been impressed by this book. So I'm not just anyway, put a lot into it. My collaborator, Naomi Tomke, and I worked really hard on it. My editor, Justin Schwartz at Simon Element, we really dug into it. I mean, it was good to have a lot of eyeballs on it. My friend Nina, we spent a week of just hardcore going through every single page of it. And it's hard because cookbooks, it's always a risk, right? I could have a lot of people are oh, keep the advance. And I did not do that. I put it in the book. And it's been a really awesome experience. I've learned so much from it. The photography team I worked with was really wonderful. The food that we made and just the recipes. I'm looking forward to getting it on digital. Yes, digital is awesome. Do you ever offer a stage? I don't do. Listen, my house. There's nothing to stage. I don't have a bakery, or I'm trying to get manufacturing. Where around closer to where I live. But you can watch me on YouTube, and you'll be you'll read the book, right? Digital copy, $16. And then come and watch me on a Saturday. And if you join the club and you're like, hey, do this recipe, I'll definitely like put it into the rotation. Yeah, it's I want people to know how easy it is to cook with this plant. And if you think about it from like, yes, I don't come at it from a medicinal perspective just because I don't have I'm not a medical professional. I know how to cook with cannabis, but I don't everybody's body is so different. I don't like to make any kind of generalization about what the plant will do. I can say I've heard anecdotally people have told me it helps with sleep and it helps with pain and things like that. But I can't be like, here's how to the strains and the recipes to heal your gallbladder. I can't, I'll never do that. That's not what I do. There are people who know about how to eat for your gallbladder. There's definitely, I'm sure, like working with that diet, it does get complicated though, because anytime you eat a substance, you're going to involve your liver. Your liver and your gallbladder is making the enzymes that your liver excretes to metabolize the cannabinoids. And so that's going to play a factor into it. So I would say if there's kind of a way to not involve it, but I'll leave that up to you and your sister and her medical professionals. But as far as cooking with cannabis, that's what I do, and it's fun. On Saturdays, we have a really good time. I do savory sweet. I try to bring my friends on. We cook a lot of homemade recipes. You can infuse anything, really. I haven't found something that I can't infuse. So, you could do soups, you just want to think about, like, one of the things I talk about in my cookbook is homogeneity. You want to think about serving size. That's often the mistake is people think, okay, well, I'll put 10 milligrams into, I'll put 40 milligrams into a cookie or something like that. It's like, well, most people can barely have 10 milligrams, but a lot of people want more than one cookie. If you're ever hiring, yeah. I'm just trying to make this sustainable. Let alone, I can't hire anybody. It's hard. It's hard. Marigold is going to take a little bit for me to get the infused side of it going. So, yeah. Okay, what are we learning about? Let's keep learning. These are historical figures. We've kind of gone off topic, but I think it's okay.
Made waves, and by 1900 had inspired at least 100 other publications also alluding to the use of medicinal marijuana. In the paper, O'Shaughnessy somewhat erroneously claimed that the use of medical cannabis in Western Europe was unknown, but pointed to its widespread use in Arabia and Persia. He remarked on several different methods for ingesting the cannabis, including mixing it with water to drink, smoking, and even creating tinctures with resin.
See?
He suggested the possibility of using marijuana to combat cholera.
Okay, so this is something I wanted to talk about. Tinctures. Okay, when I say tincture, I mean alcohol. I never mean oil. I never think of tincture and mean oil. And I know it's something that the cannabis industry does, but I wish it was something that they didn't do. I wish there was a distinction between tincture in that it is an alcohol-based extraction for the resin. and then an oil infusion. You know, it's not a tincture. And so it's always so confusing to me. People are like, "Oh, can I use a coconut oil tincture to make the sugar?" And I'm like, "No, you can't put there's no oil anything with the sugar. Just someone was like, "Oh, well, you can just do this and that, use all of these binders for it." I'm like, "That sounds disgusting and just like not what a home cook is going to do." You use alcohol and then you evaporate it. Anyway, we've done the sugar many times, but I feel like I should keep showing it.
And thought it might even work for tetanus. O'Shaughnessy's work, while primitive, laid the foundation for the future of medical marijuana study in the West. He was one of the few doctors of his time to be experimenting with cannabis as a medicine, and without O'Shaughnessy, the state of medical cannabis in the West may have taken a different direction.
Okay. Ew, that's disgusting. Let's go to the main sesh. Hi everybody. We have 46 people watching. That's pretty incredible. How are you all doing? I feel like I need some sour grapes and some water. So if you don't mind, I want to take a little break from watching something because my ears, those things on your ears, I feel like it's not good for your head to like. Okay. I'll be right back. So I thought I would read you guys a little bit from my book, How to Eat Weed and Have a Good Time. So speaking of homogeneity, where did I put homogeneity? Did cross-contamination. That was an important story. You really want to think about that when you're cooking with cannabis because people are so skeptical. I think people really don't think that like it works. It not only does it work, but one example, like if you're frying, I know I've said this example before, but if you're frying something that has cannabis in it, like in the dough or in the breading or whatever, in an oil, that oil now has cannabis in it, the fry oil. Okay? So that is an example of cross-contamination that can happen. I talk about it with like using a knife to swipe off distillate from parchment paper into, scraping it into my caramel and not cleaning the knife, and then the knife being used to cut cheese for a sandwich. And it's just like, it's you don't want people to get high without knowing it. People think it's funny. I've definitely been using this book. Shit, it is dirty. I have like stuff all over it. Where did I put that? So I have how to calculate the dose of an edible, how to store edibles when someone gets too high. Here we go. Homogeneity in the last bowl of chicken soup. One time back in my experimental era, I felt under the weather and was curious about whether I could decarb raw hash. So, like, just take straight cold water hash, like unpressed, kind of like keef, directly into my chicken soup. I added a pinch of hash to my mirepoix, sizzling in schmaltz in the bottom of a Dutch oven. Probably that orange one up there. It seemed a minuscule amount for an entire pot of soup, and I doubted the THCA would even convert to THC. I never considered what happened to the seasoned schmaltz in the soup. So, but here's the thing about chicken soup, right? So it's sitting there and it's cooking. People are always like, you don't have to decarb if you're heating. It depends on the recipe. In a soup that you're going to heat for several hours, you do not need to decarb. No, it will decarb while it's cooking in that amount of time. A good amount of it will. If you want to ensure that you get a full decarb, we pre-decarb. It takes a lot longer to decarboxylate once it hits oil. That's what I found in my lab testing. Now, if someone wants to do some more lab testing on that, repeat it. I'd love that. Please go for it. I want to do more lab testing. That's what the club is for. I need to go down to, I know I said I was going to bring the cream butter soaked flour. I got to bring that down to Encore. It's in my fridge, so don't worry. I just have been a little busy. But oh, and I've got these frozen grapes. They're so good. Have you ever had these? 1 second. I'm getting better at eating them. I like them though. A tincture is supposed to be alcohol, correct? Fico is oil. Yeah. Fico is oil with the alcohol evaporated, the ethanol taken out. Aloha. What do I think about sour nerds? I love the nerd gummy clusters. Yeah, these are those frozen grapes. It's like covered in citric acid or something. They're really sour, but I like them. They're so sour. Thanks, Hotboxin. What I'm doing is amazing. I'm just eating grapes and reading. Okay. Let's read this to you. The difference between a good time and an accidental bad trip boils down to the proper distribution of a dose. Imagine chunks of decarboxylated hash haphazardly sprinkled into a batch of toffee as it cools. Some portions of candy get speckled with huge resin goobers, and others are left with mere crumbs. I mean, even a crumb. When someone breaks off a piece with more hash, they'll soar, while someone else might think they got ripped off because they feel nothing. To avoid that happening, the dose needs to be evenly distributed. In the case of a toffee, whisking the hash into melted butter before adding the mixture to the hot candy spreads the dose throughout the confection. In the case of chicken soup, it took me to the last spoonful to find out that the hash did in fact decarb and that emulsifying the dose is an essential part of cooking weed. Because basically the fat rose to the top of the bowl. And so like the first cup like bowls were like, okay, not really feeling much, but and I also think like when it cooked longer, it was a combination of things, but the last bowl had all the fat because it was like scraping the pot, and my friend got really baked. Mm. Oh, so sour. I love it. How sour these grapes are. Okay. So we learned about mythology this evening. Kind of. In cannabis. I don't think it was like that popular in Greece. Maybe that's what the oracles were smoking. Pliny the Elder. Actually, you're right, Natalie. What am I talking about? I'm going to look him up before we go. Oh my God, it makes me. It's so sour. Let's read about him. Pliny the Elder. Among Pliny's greatest works was the 20-volume Wars of Germania, which is no longer extant. Okay. This is Wikipedia that I'm reading. Life and Times. Pliny's dates are pinned to the eruption of who wrote this? Of Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE, and a statement by his nephew that he died in his 56th year, which would put his birth in 23 or 24 CE. Pliny was the son of an equestrian, Gaius Plinius Celer, and his wife Marcella. Neither the elder nor the younger Pliny mention these names. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I don't want to read all this. Children of Como. Someone make a movie. Make me a movie, please. I want to watch about it with some hot actor playing Pliny. Oh, it's so sour. But now they got a little bit softer. Interesting. I don't usually wait this long. I kind of like it. It's in between frozen and squishy. Bradley Cooper. I don't think so. Let's cast it. Okay, let's look him up. Okay, I kind of see why. Oh, wait, where'd it go? Okay. I kind of see, but not really. Who could that be? It's kind of, you know who it is? Who has eyebrows like that? They're very like that. Don't you feel? He has very strong brow. Who could play him? Ryan Gosling, you think? I think he needs more. They need more of a receding hairline. Like, this is him super hot, you know? Like, this is hot plenty. This is plenty daddy. We're into this plenty. Look at that nose. But always a strong brow, right? And this full kind of like, they did like the full wraparound beard. They were like, let's connect it. Let's go full. Will Ferrell, interesting. Who am I thinking about? I was thinking this guy. Let me look up his name. I was thinking like Walton. Wait. Walton Goggins. Is that how you pronounce his name? Let me see if I can pull him up. Oops. Okay. Yeah, right? That's who I was thinking. Why? I like his receding hairline. Right? There's also this other guy. Like, what do you guys think of that? This guy, like, what is this guy? This guy is like, maybe this is Pliny when he's older. But this to me is giving this. I feel like this guy is giving me, I feel like he could give me Pliny. I'm feeling Walton in our cast, right? Of Pliny the Elder. But we need some other options in here. We can't just go with one hero. No, that Nostradamus guy. Can you please give me a full name, please? That's not, I don't know if I can go off of no, that Nostradamus guy. I was thinking, who else does this guy look like? He's got this kind of like pout about his face, right? Like Walton kind of has that pout too. But like, I didn't see that. I'm sure he was great. Louisa May Alcott. Louisa May Alcott, the hashish queen. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Makes sense. I think that it's, I think people use it who are neurodivergent. And of course, that might be Columbus. This is Columbus. No, it says Pliny. I think that's Pliny. My dog is running in her sleep. Okay, you guys, we're gonna have to wrap this sesh up. I ate all my grapes. I just want to say thank you for the super chats this evening. I'm gonna read off our names, just double checking before we go this evening. I had a lot of fun tonight. It's a cool little sesh. And then if you wanted to know, Natalie, I know if you've asked me like who does the songs, if you wanted to know who does the end credits, like my outro song, it's Make 'Em Say Wow by, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but EcoLeaks, IKOLIKS, Make 'Em Say Wow. I have to be honest with you, I had not listened to the outro music in the video. I just kind of like put the credits in and like make sure the names are accurate, but like make sure your dad what? Are you still going on about Tony Soprano? Jeez. Thanks, Patty. I hope everyone had fun this evening. Saturday we'll be back with another recipe. The Saturday sesh is at 1:20 p.m. I hope you had fun. Thank you to Harry Lee. Thank you to Madam Dram. Thank you to Emily C. Thank you to Molto. Thank you to Cody Paradero. Thank you to JJ Archuleta for all of the super chats this evening. They always are so helpful, and you know, it helps me buy hash. Definitely. Wait, is this over? Indian God, I just got on. I'm so sorry. It's going to end. Yes. I've been live for about 3 hours now. I feel like that is a pretty long sesh, and we learned about a lot of history and cannabis in religion and mythology and culture, and how it influences storytelling, and medicinally how it has helped societies over time to evolve and to continue and to deal with the pain of life, right? So, oh, don't worry, Malto. That's totally what that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say that when we head on out of this here sesharoonie. Let's say thank you to Pliny the Elder, who helped spread the word about cannabis, and everyone, you know, Shiva for spreading the word about cannabis and its value as a medicinal plant. I'm going to enjoy another little booparoonie before we go on the way outro of this Make 'em Say Wow. Oh, wait, we're still on Pliny. Look at this. I love this board. I really had fun coloring it today. Could you tell? I really did. I really went in there. I had a good time. I'm just really trying to enjoy those moments and be like, wow, I get to color and I get to boop and I got to walk my little doggo and things like that. 66 like. Thank you so much. I don't know what we're going to make this weekend, but it's going to be something fun. And then I'm going to have another one of my friends come on the 20th. One more time. We're going to have Miranda come on again, and we're going to do some more recipes together. I hope you guys are enjoying all of the fun. And I hope that, you all have a great rest of your week. It's Wednesday. I'm just here to like kind of brighten up your week. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. And if you want, you can join the Edibles Club as a free member. You can join the Edibles Club as a paid member. You can, whatever you want to do. But I do recommend joining the club because that's where all of my latest news drops. And if you want to know what I'm up to, that's really where it's at. It's just how all of this started during the pandemic. So I'm very grateful to my club. That's whose names you're about to see. If you ever are a paid member of the club, and you don't see your name up in the credits, please message me. It's a mistake. It's just 'cause like I go through it, and like Patreon is a little buggy, but I want your name to be up there. So just let me know. That's what that DM feature is for. You can always send me a direct message. So I'm going to launch this. This is the switch. I got to fix my Puffco. I think I just need to clean it. And I haven't forgotten Michelle. I'm going to go and see Betsy on I want to, like, I feel bad asking for so many things. You know what I mean? Like, it's important to be, but I would just want to buy you something. I'm going to get that mug soon, promise. Yeah, join the club and you can get a mug. Edibles Club. All right, everybody. I'm going to hit these credits. I hope you had fun tonight. Thanks so much. Here we go.
Bad girls make me say wow.